If you're a porphyry geologist, you've got to get excited about B veins because they represent hydrothermal fluid coming out of a magma that's supersaturated in fluid, and that's exactly the environment where porphyry copper gold deposits form. And this morning we came here to do some mapping. We parked in the car park, and in this retaining wall here I found one right there. It's only a little one, but it has some very big implications, and it's a game changer for exploration strategy. The term B vein was defined in a paper by Gustafson and Hunt in 1975. I'll leave a reference to that paper in the comments section. It was a study of the El Salvador porphyry copper deposit in Chile. They named them B veins because they represented the second event in the vein paragenesis for that system. Since then, they've been recognised in thousands of porphyry-style mineralisation systems all over the world. They're not a guarantee of economic mineralisation, but they're a unique indicator of the magmatic hydrothermal transition environment where porphyry-style copper, gold and molybdenum deposits form. B veins have some very distinctive characteristics. They have parallel vein walls. They're typically less than about 10 millimetres thick. They occur in multiple randomly oriented sets. The quartz infill has a fine homogeneous granular texture. There's no open cavity space in the veins. They commonly have bands of magnetite, hematite or molybdenite parallel to the vein walls. Many of the veins have a prominent centre line filled with magnetite, pyrite or copper sulfides, and the associated alteration is pervasive rather than halos around individual veins. The thing that caught my eye in this case was this distinctive centre line. This one's got a centre line filled with magnetite, not quite as nice as sulfide, but it's a very good start. You can see that really grabs the magnet because there's both magnetite in the vein and secondary magnetite in the alteration around the vein. Most of these blocks are pieces of volcanoclastic sandstone that look like hornfells. They probably came from a quarry somewhere else. But these smaller chinking blocks in here are quite different, and I suspect they're a bit more local. So we're going to go up the hill there and see if we can find where this rock came from. And about 20 metres up the hill in the embankment above the retaining wall, there's outcropping B veins everywhere. This one here is a particularly large one. It's about 50 mil thick, and if I break this piece open, beautiful. So here you can see one of those B veins in a piece of the outcrop. The host rock is a very pale colour because it's got very strong albite and magnetite alteration in it, and there's a little bit of brown staining from some sulfide. That's a pretty encouraging sign, and as you can see, it's quite magnetic. There's magnetite in the veins, and there's also secondary magnetite in the alteration. So we're in the potassic zone. It's got some fresh magnetite in there and some fresh sulfide, so I know we're in a part of that zone that's actually mineralised. There have been many variations and additions to the lettering system since Gustafson and Hunt published their paper in 1975, and the lines between A, B and D veins have become blurred. But the middle ground of the B vein has survived as a powerful tool for identifying porphyry-style hydrothermal systems. This is another video in the series of Fieldcraft for geologists. This is the short version for YouTube. If you'd like the extended version with all the details of characteristics of B veins, then go to the link in the description below, and for the price of a single thin section, you'll get the full version of this video, all the other videos in the Fieldcraft series, and anything else that I shoot for the series as it grows.